I grew up next to a Great Lake, a body of water so vast it comes across to me as an ocean. A lake that has served me and others a source of either recreation, relaxation, or a beautiful view. When you think of the lake, you probably have the vision of a hot summer day at the beach getting a tan, going swimming, boating, fishing, etc. That is definitely a huge draw for this area and why most people come to the lake. But I'd like to show you a different side of the lake. After the leaves have fallen, the birds have migrated, the animals begin their hibernation, I want to show you the winter side of this lake. To showcase the raw beauty and power of this lake along with some of the natural phenomena that occurs within and around its domain. A frigid, cold, dark, uninviting side of this what used to be completely welcoming landscape. There's a different sense of beauty to this that I see and hope to represent in this video. So sit back, relax, and bundle up as I present some of the natural sights and sounds of winter on Lake Erie. So let me start by providing some context. How did this lake form, and how did it get to where it is today? Lake Erie is a part of a much larger group of freshwater lakes known as the Great Lakes. This being Lake Ontario, Huron, Michigan, and Superior all formed roughly around the same time as Lake Erie. Millions of years ago, massive forces from beneath the Earth's surface folded and moved the crust around, slowly forming essentially a basin where the Great Lakes sit today. This basin is a low spot where water and other materials can collect and build into. So then, how did all this water get here? I mean, there's just no way on a regular schedule that precipitation could cause all this. There had to be something else at play here. Well, there was. It was in the form of a 6-mile-high glacier. Roughly 20,000 years ago, a massive ice sheet covered this area and even got large enough to extend from the northeast corner of Kansas to the Adirondack Mountains in New York. This ice sheet receded and grew within that space until it finally started receding back around 14,000 years ago, where the meltwater then filled in all the low spots within this basin. Lake Erie doesn't just stand on its own. In fact, none of these 5 Great Lakes do. They are all interconnected by either natural rivers or man-made channels or locks. This is how freighter traffic can get from the northern Atlantic all the way through and towards the west side of Lake Superior. The significance of these lakes cannot be underestimated as it provides food and clean drinking water to tens of millions of people, directly and indirectly. But we'll get into more of that in another video. From an aerial view, Lake Erie may look like it has around the same volume of water as its neighbor Lake Ontario. Looking at an elevation map, however, will prove this to be very false, as Lake Erie has a volume of 116 cubic miles, just over a third of Lake Ontario's volume. Lake Erie is also the shallowest of the 5 Great Lakes, reaching only 210 feet deep on average on the east end and 24 feet on average on the west. Along with being the shallowest Great Lake, it is also the warmest on average, which provides an excellent location for wildlife and marine life to thrive in this nutrient-rich water. Currently, Lake Erie and the other lakes have looked around like this for the past 3,000 years, and that brings us to today. This is the Lake Erie that I've known for all my life. But what is this seemingly innocent body of water capable of? I've been going out a lot to gather all sorts of footage of the lake for this video and have captured the slow yet steady build of snow on this landscape. These locations I shot in are mostly around the Northeast Ohio area, and the past few winters here haven't really been that exciting. Mother Nature has struggled to keep the temperatures below freezing in order to maintain snowfall, but this winter has been different. As of the month of January, the temperatures have been consistently below freezing, with the exception of a couple warmer days, and as a result, it has created a true winter landscape that is just gorgeous to take in. Except driving in it though, that kinda sucks. Here, I will take a moment to showcase not only the lake slowly accumulating ice and snow over time, but the surrounding area and how wind and water shapes these landscapes to produce some incredible features. Enjoy. So it's been a couple days since I've been out here, and the reason for that is because it got down into the single digits and sometimes even the negatives. And that combined with wind chill out here makes for a pretty unpleasant experience. So we're out here again. We're gonna check it out, see how much more ice there is out here. Yeah, go from there. Looks like there's some lake effect snow coming too. That's cool. Now, how did all this snow get here? I know that kind of sounds like a dumb question, but really, where did it come from? The lake acts as a temperature bank, slowly gaining heat from the sun during the warmer months and expelling that heat during the colder months. Heat that's built up in the water drives evaporation during these early colder months of October and November. Tiny droplets of water rise up towards much colder air to form clouds which will slowly build into a snowstorm. Once these clouds can't hold any more moisture, the snow will then precipitate down, generally around the same areas along the lake. These areas are known as snow belts, and every Great Lake has its own unique belt. This entire process is what produces These storms can get huge, covering hundreds of square miles and dumping up to 2 to 3 inches of snow per hour. If a snowstorm is significant enough, it can receive a category rating. Like hurricanes, snowstorms have their own categories that they fall into. Unlike hurricanes that use wind speed as the main determining factor for categorization, this scale takes into account snowfall and the population that storm is going to affect. The date is November 7th, 1913. A snowstorm has been brewing up in the Upper Peninsula and is wreaking havoc on Lake Superior, Michigan. Winds of up to 80 miles an hour, heavy snow and freezing rain are barreling down onto the water, all heading southeast towards Lake Erie. South of the Great Lakes, a low-pressure system was forming and another strong snowstorm was brewing and making its way up north. By November 9th, both storms collided and created a storm the same strength as a Category 2 hurricane. The storm was so impactful, it was given the name the White Hurricane. In total, 250 lives were taken and 42 ships were sunk. 1966, a storm reaching Category 4 status moved from central Arkansas to Maine. Lake-effect snow helped intensify the storm to produce immense snowfall accumulation within the Ohio Valley region. Once the storm reached the valley, though, it downgraded to a Category 1 but still managed to drop up to 100 inches of snow east of Lake Ontario with 50-mile-an-hour winds. This storm across multiple states dropped the temperatures to, at the time, a record low of negative 27 degrees Fahrenheit, and over 200 people lost their lives. More recently, in November of 2014, a storm came off Lake Erie and headed east towards western New York. Over 5 days, this storm dropped 7 feet of snow, claimed the lives of 11 people, and caused over $46 million in damages. Like mentioned before, these storms gather their energy through evaporation, from the relatively warmer water up to the colder air, but as the storm progresses, the lake will start to cool down. Lake Erie, being the shallowest lake of the 5, tends to have more rapid changes in temperature year-round, thus it will cool down pretty quickly. As the waves beat against the shores of the lake, spray from the water will hit the cold air and freeze, turning into ice. This ice will build up more and more, forming what looks like ice cliffs along the shoreline. As the temperatures stay low and water remains relatively calm, the lake will slowly start freezing over, covering up more and more of that open water, which introduces us to our next phenomena of this lake. And this has a direct impact on the lake effect snow formation because now that source of moisture has been blocked. The water can't evaporate into the atmosphere as easily anymore. Generally, as long as the temperatures remain below freezing, Lake Erie can freeze over mostly within a month's time. It most likely isn't safe to walk all the way across, but it is covered. In the past, the lake did freeze over a lot more often, and some saw it and had an idea. Dave Volker was a man who saw an opportunity, an adventure that would take only just a couple of days, but would test the limits of himself. The lake at its narrowest is about 30 miles, and when completely frozen over, creates a connection between Canada and America. After packing a bag with some food, water, a tent, an ice axe, a red flare, and a walkie-talkie, Volker set out on February 25th, 1978 to cross Lake Erie by foot. He also carried with him a camera and tripod to document this perilous journey and to showcase this uninviting yet beautiful landscape before him. These images invoke some different emotions within me. Part of me is in awe in the sheer beauty created from the power of wind and water, and the other half feels unnerved. There's a sense of loneliness and slight confusion I get, and I can't pinpoint exactly why. Without context, this just looks like a frozen wasteland somewhere on the South or North Pole. Knowing that this is a great lake though, seeing the endless blanket of just white color from the ice and snow, with the occasional snowdrift or ice cliff, I don't know. It reminds me a lot of a liminal space, this kind of transition between two destinations, a space you're not meant to be in for a while. This landscape draws me in and invokes a slight fear inside me. There's just something about it. days of hiking, Volker made it to the Canadian shore. There were many accounts of people attempting this journey before him, but this is a journey slowly coming to an end. From 1973 to 2021, the lake has been on a decline when it comes to ice coverage over each winter. As the Earth warms more and more, this percentage is only going to get smaller and smaller. This graph here represents that. You can actually see that large spike here in 1978, where the west side of the lake was totally frozen over and Dave crossed over. Lake Erie being so shallow has the quickest temperature fluctuations, so for as cold as it can get very warm as well, and warmer as time goes on. The winter of 2025 has actually been really good. Most of January up in the northeast Ohio here saw temperatures below freezing for most of the time, resulting in a healthy amount of snow accumulation and good lake freeze. This did pose a problem for the ships that roam on the waters, as a few of them ended up getting stuck in the ice. The lake this winter got up to 96% covered in ice, the most it has ever been in a while. A good winter can showcase how a landscape can change based on the season it currently is in. Up here in the Great Lakes, we experience all 4 seasons, and the 2 polar opposite ones, summer and winter, really show how the same exact area can have almost 2 different personalities that are hard to compare. Living in an area that experiences 4 seasons is something you can take for granted very easily. You become accustomed to it, used to it, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're all human. We adapt and learn on how to survive and overcome challenges over time. Sure, it is nice to live down in Florida with the warm water and beaches, sunny days, or out somewhere like Southern California. Year-round, those places are beautiful and comfortable. But up here, the beauty and comfort come differently. Instead of the beaches and comfortable temperatures, we stay inside, tucked in, staying warm as the cold, unforgiving elements blast away outside. When you take a step back and really take a long look at the scene that used to be full of green and blue skies and has now turned cold, dark, and dreary, it makes you stand there and appreciate the power of Mother Nature. Or you just can't wait for summer to come back. What we have going on here, though, is something I think is really special. As the months move on, the ice starts to melt, and you may hear a noise out in the lake. The noise of force is so powerful it just leaves me in awe. The once great sheet of ice over the water starts to break up, pushing, folding, and breaking over itself. It creates a sound that is just otherworldly. This scene, though, is becoming less and less common. As the global temperatures rise, the summers will become warmer and Lake Erie will be able to heat up more during that time, reducing the chances of a freeze-over like this. On top of that, lake effect snow and lake effect rain will become more prevalent due to the much warmer air above the water being able to store more moisture. The existence of this lake is imperative for the survival and ease of access to clean drinking water, food, and supplies that millions of people rely on every day. It supports a diverse ecosystem of wildlife and provides a spectacular scene that isn't found very often around the world. I took Lake Erie for granted. Growing up near it, it just became this everyday thing. Visiting it a few hundred times now and seeing roughly the same sights and sounds, I became numb to it. Up until recently. See, as I've gotten older, I've started to gain a sense of gratitude and appreciation for what I'm surrounded by. And the lake was one of those things. I started trying to look at it through a different perspective, a foreign one, trying to see it like I'm seeing it for the very first time.
It is cold.
And it made me re-fall in love with it all over again. I took a step back and really saw the power and beauty of this lake in all of its seasons, and especially the winter on Lake Erie. The winters around here have been very mild these past few years, but this winter was different. It made me re-fall in love with the winter scene, and I wanted to share that here in this video. To me, this isn't just a large body of water. This is a familiar, comfortable, and beautiful place. To me, this is home. I want to end this video on a calm note, to really give you guys a good perspective of the other side of the winter here. On one end, the winters can be brutal, with the snowstorms, ice buildup, winds howling outside, freezing cold temperatures. But the other end of winter is a calm, peaceful, and quiet scene, where the fallen snow absorbs all the sounds, and all you hear is the snow hitting your jacket, a slight breeze, and maybe the sounds of society off in the distance. Here's 30 seconds of the sights and sounds of a calm winter on Lake Erie. Thanks for watching. I'll see you around.